I walked in on my parents yelling at my 6-year-old daughter. What I did next changed everything. I wasn't supposed to be home that early. The meeting got canceled last minute, and I figured I'd surprise everyone, maybe take my daughter out for ice cream, spend a little extra time together. Nothing big, just one of those small moments that end up meaning everything. But the second I stepped inside, I knew something was wrong. Voices, loud, sharp, angry. My parents. And then I heard her, my 6-year-old daughter, crying. I froze. For a split second, my brain tried to make sense of it. Maybe I misheard. Maybe it wasn't as bad as it sounded. But then my father's voice cut through the air like a blade. "You don't talk back to adults. Who do you think you are?" And my daughter's small, trembling voice followed. "I didn't mean to." That was enough. I dropped my keys and rushed into the living room. What I saw made my chest tighten instantly. My daughter was standing near the couch, tears streaming down her face, her little hands clenched at her sides. My mother stood behind her with her arms crossed, while my father loomed in front of her, towering, furious. For a moment, nobody noticed me. And then I spoke. "What's going on?" Everything went silent. My daughter turned first. The second she saw me, her face crumpled even more, and she ran straight into my arms. "Daddy." That one word hit harder than anything else. I held her tight, feeling her small body shake. Then I looked up at my parents. I asked, "What's going on?" My father sighed, like he was the one inconvenienced. "She's being disrespectful," he said. "Talking back. Needs to learn some discipline." I looked down at my daughter. She shook her head against my chest. "I just said I didn't like the food," she whispered. That was it. That was what all this was about. Something inside me shifted, slowly, carefully. I set her behind me and stood up straight. "She's 6, I said quietly. "Not a soldier." My mother frowned. "Don't start. Kids these days are too soft. She needs to—" "No," I cut in, sharper than I intended. "What she needs is to feel safe in her own home." The room went still again. My father's expression hardened. "We raised you just fine." I took a breath. This was the moment everything could go one of two ways. "Yeah," I said. "You raised me to be quiet, to be scared of saying the wrong thing, to feel like I had to earn being treated kindly." They didn't respond because they knew it was true. I turned slightly, making sure my daughter could still see me. "I'm not raising her like that," my mother scoffed. "So what? She just gets to say whatever she wants." "No," I said. "She gets to be heard. There's a difference." My daughter slowly peeked out from behind me, her eyes red but watching closely. This wasn't just about now. She was learning something in this exact moment, what kind of world she lived in, and what kind of father she had. I knelt down in front of her. "Hey," I said softly. "Look at me," she did. "It's okay to not like something. It's okay to say how you feel, but we say it kindly, all right?" She nodded, wiping her cheeks. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I shook my head gently. "You don't need to be sorry for having feelings." Then I stood back up and looked at my parents one last time. "But yelling at her like that?" I said. "That stops today." There was tension in the air, thick, uncomfortable. Finally, my father looked away. My mother didn't say anything either. And in that silence, something changed. Not just for them. For me. For her. I took my daughter's hand. "Come on," I said. "Let's go get that ice cream." Her grip tightened around mine. "Really?" she asked, her voice still shaky but hopeful. I smiled. "Yeah, really." As we walked out the door, I could feel it. That invisible line I had just drawn. Not with anger, not with shouting, but with something stronger. Choice. Because sometimes changing everything doesn't come from a big, dramatic moment. Sometimes it comes from standing in a doorway, hearing something you shouldn't, and deciding right then and there, this ends with me.